Just kidding, anime girls aren't real, but my depression is.
Yeah, Levi. Oh, 大きくなったか?
Within a claustrophobic ticking clock and suffocating struggle of pointless endeavor, Attack on Titan aims to show what it's like to be isolated, accompanied by a surprising sensitivity to notions of cowardice, existence, and repression. Just kidding. That is the lost aspect dominated by the loudest series imaginable, where shouting is the only trustworthy constant that it's difficult to not think it was intentionally comedic at times, which is honestly the overlooked genius of director Tetsuro Araki, whether poppable or not. Regardless, Attack on Titan adeptly guides us through the most adept cinematic example of entertainment. There's problems with that approach, for sure, but I can't help but respect it because it's what all media, even this video, aims to do, entertain, because there is a meaningful quality in having people enjoy your work. Criticism is easy, but acknowledgement of a piece of media's goals and how it handles them is something else entirely. Attack on Titan's whole is constructed on the basis of an intensification of the parts, and not just on the basis of a subordination of the parts to the whole. I need to breathe. Each part has to be intensified, and it's only on the basis of that intensification that it will find its principle of connection to the other parts. Rather than causal logic, generic tonal or stylistic continuity, it is a consistent intensity and overstatement that is the structuring principle of the contemporary action film. That is Attack on Titan. Thriving on vulgarity, carnality, and sensuous appeal is a paradigm case of popular film, and that is exactly what Attack on Titan aims for. It is also manifestly an example of craft. Despite the crumbling production that is always happening at Studio Wint, if we want to understand the full range of what movies and TV can do, we do well to pause over the unending negativity that surrounds the genre, or just things that become popular in general. There aren't many things that I can say positively about Attack on Titan, but creating spellbinding entertainment out of dozens of well-judged niceties is no small undertaking, and Attack on Titan consistently nails it. I want Mikasa to crush my testicles. A badminton anime with cute girls. Anime of the year. Taku Kishimoto of the scripts behind Haikyuu is handling the series composition, so the series will definitely understand the oh-so-many necessary shades to characterization to having a meaningful sports series. And it definitely helps that the manga's base has that. Hanebado baits people in with a sort of cute and fan-servicey beginning, but down the line it shifts into a dense, unyielding display of action drama, with each swing of the racket feeling earned and impactful due to build-up personal stakes off the court. Tethering a match to an emotional shift makes the physical beats land that much harder, and Hanebado lands that shuttlecock on the other side of the net every time. This could be the best sports show of the year. Never mind. Few anime this season are as lovingly crafted as Tomohiro Furukawa's stage play-inspired director debut, Shoujo Kageki Revue Starlight. Having learned straight from the eccentric visionary Kunihiko Ikuhara himself, except Furukawa is a completely different person from Ikuhara. He takes a lot of the same elements that make Ikuhara so great, but Furukawa never takes off from reality, staying a dreamer that is totally a grounded one. With the stage play's choreography being utilized as a direct expression of character, the effect of turning these implied actions of the concept into devices is to produce a discernible disjunction between the reality of the narrative worlds depicted on stage, and to craft an entirely stylized, representational architecture of the series that makes it wholly unique. There's so much this show can be, but for now, I'll end my preemptive love letter and wait for it to take on a life of its own so that I can have the courage to put it in the locker. Ooh. Looks like it's time to add ghosts or spirits to the fetish list, and let's see. Ah, it's already on there. I should have expected that. Suppose there is no sin I haven't committed after 8 years of anime titty. Alright, so Eunice on Hot Springs is like a tame To Love Ru. At that point, why don't I just go tell you to watch To Love Ru? Which, you should, and it's obvious, so why should I have to tell you? But there's an even more obvious answer. You can never have enough anime titty. It's true. Read the Bible. It's in there. It's in verse Isaiah 49:7. Here, let's get there. You can never have enough anime titty. Right there. Read it. It's pretty obvious by now I'm not interested in telling you guys synopses. I'm not just gonna shortly explain the plot, or copy the Mao description, put text on screen, and play some trash copyright-free dubstep, and rake in those big YouTube bucks. I care. I really care about many of the things I talk about. And I am especially going to not do any of that with Island. Because for years, I looked forward to Island's release, and then it finally reached me in 2016, and it... as sappy as it is to say this, I guess, I love what I love. And Island is one of those things that really matters to me. It changed me for the better. My life seriously improved after I read it. And I really don't expect an anime adaptation to formulate the same equation that hit me so personally that I skipped college courses for 2 weeks to play through all of it. Okay, it helped me understand the person I wanted to be. But for the couple weeks that I skipped classes to read it, I definitely was not that person. But after, God, how did I not fail that semester? But after it, I'm a better me. I am the Glenn I want to be. I'm the Glenn talking to you now. And okay, time for some words that are a bit less personal. Island's setting isn't a mystery, shockingly. Making minimal use of locations, it takes language as its alternate setting. Words making up the space between people. And that's where all stories originate, the gasp of air that come out of our mouth to keep that space alive. Close or far and the rest of the world, nobody cares. Those words isolate, bring together, but only between those people that are spoken. Two people breaking each other's hearts in one room, another person washing their laundry as a train passes, the driver trying to make it through to the next stop. They're all coexisting in the same world, but all of those other happenings do not matter to them. Overscoring this to maximize a kind of fullness of emotion, this creates a tension between the eternal, the permanent, and the immediate. But it is within the immediate world, a character signifying personal confinement, that an experience that grips and unnerves, that the purest emotion resides. And Island's titular protagonist surrenders to his inner romantic with a deafening depiction of thoughtful isolation. Basically, Island is really good, and it matters a lot to me. And also, the English release of the visual novel is coming out, I don't know, I think late 2018 or something, so support visual novels. The trend of classic manga being adapted continues with Banana Fish, a series that still hasn't left many's best manga list despite its debut in 1985, and that is due to it featuring a kind of depth and genuine adult mindness that goes far beyond the blood and booze of R-rated fare that dominated its time, and right into something far more devastating, echoing a time similarly ravaged by the raving of age, where the reverberation of right and wrong are undone in the same breath. It chronicles the lives of those in the undercity of old-school New York. Banana Fish fluctuates into something that you kinda don't understand why the fuck it's called Banana Fish, into an inadvertent shoujo action story, which explains why it's being directed by ex-KyoAni/do Hiroko Utsumi. From Bungo Stray Dogs to Days, she'll chase cute boys anywhere. Director of the 2 seasons of Free and storyboarder for many of KyoAni favorites like K-On!, Hyoka, and Haruhi, Utsumi was a huge loss to the studio, but hey, she left her mark of hot boys at KyoAni and is now bringing it to the other parts of the industry. She's living the dream, and I am gonna fully support that dream. But that does leave a problem for what Utsumi left behind. I'm doing this because I'm super certain of my sexuality, actually. Free, specifically Season 3, it's lacking Utsumi, and it is placing a longtime KyoAni member at its head for his TV anime director debut, Eisaku Kawanami. Key animator since essentially KyoAni's conception, Kawanami has been left to a vibrant aesthetic in a lieu of expectations that aren't his. But through the Free shorts and films, it's pretty obvious that he has the talent to not only create something wholly his own, but to also imitate what Utsumi laid as groundwork for the series. Which, despite the rockiness of the first season, Eternal Summer has altered Free into something fully not itself, or at least not its original idea, and that is completely for the better, in my opinion. Eternal Summer was great, and everything that came after was great. Like, seriously, if you watched the first season of Free and you didn't think it was any good, you should really watch Eternal Summer. But back to, whatever. Before, Free would conjure up these fleeting moments of wistfulness, the first season, and tend to keep you at arm's length. And at first, Eternal Summer suggested the same impenetrable aura of the original, but the colorful surface and shoebox set design quietly revealed a poignant character mosaic underneath that slowly morphed Free into something greater. Not that the abs weren't enough before, honestly. The Western anime community's universally loved series since the beginning of the new millennium was the ultimate celluloid fever dream and about as sensual as the medium gets, fully coolly. And now it's back. To dismay, to enthusiasm, emotions are a scale and there's no balance. I err on the side of enthusiasm. Nothing new is going to get rid of the original, nothing new is going to alter Fully Cooley's legacy. And to be blunt, to its larger effectiveness, you really have to forget all the hysterics of nostalgia and embrace this new creation for what it is, familiar in a much, much different way. I've staved off from watching past the first episode of Adult Swim's broadcast because I want to watch the Japanese version. Yeah, fucking. I'm a weeaboo. Who would have fucking guessed it? Oh my god. I'm not going to tell people not to watch the dub. And I would say a slew of fluffy words to describe how much the original meant to me, but progressive and alternative aren't the original. They're just that, progressive and alternative. They are not fully cooly. They have new ideas and new lessons, and even though it's inevitable that these two new series tackle the same universal lessons the original did, it is 2018. Lessons change with time. They become refined, slightly different in a new age where society has put those lessons through a new lens that could only exist with the passage of time. And now the very people who were taught the original's lessons so many years ago finally get their chance. Their chance to swing the bat. PSA. Grand Blue is a manga about diving. About diving. About diving. About diving. Okay, oh fuck, okay, she's hot. Okay, there is diving, and there are arcs about diving, training, and certification, but most of the time is spent on the characters' interactions and people getting absolutely fucking hammered. And it is amazing for that, because beyond the laughs, it manages to profoundly touch upon the disillusions of maturity and the strengths of family bonding. And it's just fucking funny. A bit hesitant on the adaptation because Zero G is a small studio that is ran by a talented person, but their previous output doesn't exactly, how do you say, move. Which kind of defeats the point of animation. But with the director having done Daily Lives of High School Boys and Grand Blue's inherent comedy strength infused into its core, I believe I can deal with a little bit of limited animation. The sheer audacity to sneak a genuine parable about the struggles of finding yourself into an easily preserved gaudy comedy won't go away from a less than desired anime adaptation. Grand Blue will be good, because Grand Blue is just that. Hey, this looks pretty cute now, Talima. An elite but socially stunted gamer finds himself in another world inhabiting the body of his character Diablo. Despite his powers, his awkwardness keeps getting in the way, so he decides to pretend to be a demon lord and soon finds himself with a pair of slaves. That kind of sounds generic when I say it. And the slaves are a well-endowed elf and lolly cat girl. Woo! 10 out of 10, that's the good shit! Aw, what a sweet title. I wonder what Happy Sugar Life is about. Oh yeah. This is super my thing, actually, and you know what, I'll be blunt. I've already read Happy Sugar Life, I know all about it, as I do with mostly everything I talk about, but whatever. But buying into Happy Sugar Life is largely about buying into a character's fascinating portrayal. Yandere. Really, if it was a genre, this would be a part of it. And even if I lack the word gymnastics to convince you to watch it, Yandere Hanakana. I would literally watch anything with that. And thankfully now, there's Happy Sugar Life, which Santo's constant battle in the pursuit of love lends the series a hypnotic and ethereal rhythm that far outstrips other series about yanderes. It just nails the atmosphere necessary to sell such a broken person, which is shocking considering its heavy shifts between yandere behavior and fluffy yuri. Oh yeah, forgot to mention that. It's super gay, by the way. Super gay. So yeah, it's a masterpiece. But seriously, it's the fact I can describe Santo as a broken person instead of a yandere that just sells what I'm saying. It's not just a trope to be filled, it is a person who just wants to find the meaning of love and to protect it at all costs. Because everyone wants to protect their happy sugar life. Although, Santo just has different ways of going about it, which makes for an unbelievably wild ride to be had with the twisted dichotomy between the deluded, pure-hearted love that Santo holds towards Shio-chan and the disturbing, if not demented people that fill Santo's life. I still can't get over Yandere Hanakana. PA Works' new original anime that definitely isn't Twilight, if it was an action movie. Okay, I'm not actually trying to make it sound bad. In fact, despite PA Works being perceived as a high-profile animation studio, their average animation output is average, except when two people highly elevate their standards. Masahiro Ando and Masayuki Yoshihara. Longtime industry veterans, names you should look up. And thankfully, the former is heading Sirius the Jaeger, which essentially guarantees it a strong production alongside an interesting thematic moral ambiguity considering its plot, which is like vampires versus werewolves, basically. That's the gist of it. I don't know. It's an original anime. There's not much for me to say about it, besides the director being Ando, which is really important, and means that it should definitely be on the radar. Alright, that is too relatable for me. I'm gonna take a break. A break that definitely doesn't involve me drowning in my own self-loathing. Satsuriku no Tenshi is perhaps the best example of never giving up on your dreams. Because how the fuck a freeware game made using RPG Maker has managed to become a hit multimedia franchise is beyond me. But hey, I'm glad it did, because I played it. I liked it a lot, actually. And the reason for my liking it is because its comedic take on Dark series leads it far away from the overly abused internal dramatic convenience of similar Dark series. Because every level of its 7 floors offers a stark example of how emotions lead our lives, through its brief but visceral portrait of depression. It's not dark for the sake of a genre or any specific audience, but because it desires delivering emotion and thematic truths of depression related to the idea of darkness, and how that darkness obstructs happy memories into sad ones by an ever-changing perspective of the individual. Depression is personal and undefinable outside of your own, personal feats. But yeah, it's not always that, because it's also just fun. It has some dark comedy, and I will take any excuse in the world to hear Nobuhiko Okamoto playing another deranged character. Dude, just imagine having sex with him, oh man. Chio-chan is a manga, and I may or may not have ended up following Chio-chan's publication due to my interest in its author and his original works that led me to following him before Chio-chan. His, how do you put it, erotic works. Tadataka Kawasaki, he drew hentai, okay? He drew, what do you want me to say? He's talented, alright? At porn and comedy, seriously. Chio-chan encompasses the daily tribulations of a schoolgirl's walk home as told by a longtime weirdo. And of course, I call Kawasaki a weirdo with endless love, as he takes the left weird approach to his jokes both narratively and conceptually, to its exploration of erogenous relationships with others, and most importantly ourselves. It's a comedy that can be read as an ideological critique, or just an easy way to laugh. And whichever of those two ways you decide to look at it, it's fun no matter what. Loquacious, unflappable, and relentless, Chio-chan is a wild ride. You know what? This time, no flowery words, no jokes, just perfection. Watch Yamano Susume.